So in this video, I will show you how to create a ASP.NET Web Form project and then connect it to a database and then retrieve some data. Okay. So while doing so, we have to create a lot of other class or objects and then use those to retrieve this data. So open your Visual Studio 2022, click on create a new project. Here, search for web form. So you will get this option here. So I'll be using C# for this tutorial. So I'll select this. If you want to use VB, you can do that as well, or any other language. So basically, so this is our project. So let's template. So let's create click on this template and then click on next button. So here you can give a name to your project. You can change the location where you want to save it, and then you can select the .NET framework version. So mine is, so I have the latest one, which is .NET 4.8. So you can select whatever version you have, and then let's name this. So I will be say I'll name it as library demo web form. Okay, so that's my project name, and then click on create. Here you will get a window like this. Click on web forms and click on create. So now Visual Studio has created this project for me. So let's close all these windows. Here you can see the structure of this project. On the right side, Solution Explorer. If you cannot see the Solution Explorer, go to View, click on the Solution Explorer. So this will come up here. Here you have few icons, so which has different meanings. Okay, so if you want to show all files, then you click on this icon. By default, it is the preview selected icons. Okay, so select that, you will get this kind of view. Now let's go to references and see if we have entity framework here or not. If we don't have entity framework, we have to add it, because we will be using entity framework for this tutorial. So right click on the project folder and then go to manage NuGet packages. So click on browse, and here so you have to write entity framework here and then select this one and click on install. Accept. So now entity framework has been installed, so you can verify it. Go to references and you should see these two things. Okay, so which means entity framework has been installed. So you can close this window and minimize this. Now you can see all these folders here. So what we will do is we will add a few new folders. So right click your project, add new folder called as model. Okay, now let's create one more folder called as data layer. Okay, so we have a data layer folder and we have a model folder. Now let's add one more page here, or let's add one more folder actually, and then we will add a page. So the folder name is UI. So UI will contain our page, HTML page, which is basically ASPX page, and then we have models and we have data layer. Now right click your UI folder and add a new item. So here select web form with master page. Now I will name this as show books. Okay, and then click on add. So select this site.master, click on OK. Now this page has been added under UI. So let's close this. Now add to model classes. So click on new item, select class and name this as book. Similarly, again right click, add new item and name it as author. So now go to book and here add few properties. Now these properties will be your so basically these will be your fields in the table, okay, the columns in the table. So whatever, so the book will be the table name, database table name. Okay, similarly author will be the database table name, and then whatever properties we add, those will be your fields in the database table. So let's add some properties. So public int book ID, that's it, title, and then description. Then here we have to add a author ID. That is how we link this to the author table. And then we will need to add one more property, author. So you need to add it like this, author property, and then get set. So you are referring the author object, and from the author object, so author ID will be used from the author object if we want to connect these two things, right? So basically every book may have an author, and that author ID will go here, and if you use that author ID to scan the author table, then you will find the author name from that author table. So let's go to the author class here and add few properties like we did for book. So public int author ID, then public string name, and then we have to add one more property called as books. Okay. Public virtual type collection. So give book here, and then name will be books. Okay, so this is basically one-to-many relationship between author and books. So a author may write multiple books. That's why you have to refer it like this, right? So now you have the basic structure of the table. You can add more properties if you want. Okay, so this is for example, I have just added few of the properties, but in real world you may have to add more properties. If you want to add more tables also, you can do so. Just right click and add more tables. Okay, and then link it as I have shown here. Okay, this is the basic fundamental. So the same process will follow even if you add 5 or 10 tables. You have to do it the same way. So basically you have to understand what is the relationship between two entities. So like book and author has a relationship. That is why I have done like this. If you are adding an entity which doesn't have any relationship, then you don't need to do this kind of things. Let's say I want some table where it is a standalone table, then there is no need to create a relationship. You just add the properties. Okay, so the model is done. Now we have to add a context class, which is basically in the data layer. We will do it. So click on the right click on the data layer folder, add, and then new item, and again class, and here name it as library context. So here you can see the class has been created. Now we have to inherit this from the DB context. Okay, So before we do that, I have to use a reference here. So that is why we added the entity framework class. So system.data dot entity. Okay, semicolon. And then you have to inherit from the DB context. So that is your entity framework class. All right. Then the next thing is add a constructor. So copy this name here. Constructor name is always same as the class name. And then refer the base constructor. So give a name here. This is the name. So this is the name of your database. Okay. So give a name here and then close the constructor. Right. Now we have to add two properties to this class. So whatever data objects or whatever models you have added, right? So the corresponding properties should be added here as well. So public db set class is used here. You have to use this and you have to name the model here, the model class name. So author, and then we'll say authors get set. Similarly, let's copy this. We have to do it for book. Books. Okay. So now you have all the things needed in the data context class. So save this, and next step is we have to run some migrations. So let's build it before that to see if everything is okay or not. Now let's go to the package manager console, and we have to add few you have to type few commands here. If you cannot see package manager console, then go to tools, NuGet package manager, and here it is. Okay, package manager console. So click this, so this window will open up. Now here the first thing you have to check is whether the migrations are enabled or not. So enable migration, and this will also add a folder. So basically you have to do it. So now the command has run, and you can see a migration folder has been added here. And there is a class inside this. This is called as configuration.cs. If you double click this class, so here you can see one constructor and another seed method, right? So we have to add some seed data. So we have to add some code here, some static code, so that when you run this application, some default data will be there already, right? So that it will help you in testing. So that default data will add through this method. So I have written that already. So I will just copy and to save time, I will copy it from here. So add a method like this. I will go through the code shortly. It's a very simple code. It just takes time to write this. So you can see what I have done here is, so I have created a method called as get books. It is a static method. It returns type list book, and then you create number of books. Okay, so because it's a list object, it will return a set of books. So you need to add one by one all the books like this format. Okay, the same format is repeated, just the value changes. So 1 becomes 2, and then 3 like this. Okay, and change the title, and then give ID to your author ID. Okay, so this is the get books now, and then return books. So once this books, so this is the books list here, so you have to return it back. So return it back. Similarly, create a authors, get authors, and then I have added 2 authors here, and 1 and 2 author ID has been added. So if you see here, so basically it is referencing 1 and 2, right? So which means this particular book has been written by this person. Okay, similarly this book has been written by this person, and then return authors. So this is your seed data. You can add as much data as you want. Now we have to call this from here. So you have to call it like this. Okay, so get authors dot for each, and then go through the context and go through the authors list here and add it to the context object. Okay, so similarly get all the books and add it to the context object, and then it will be updated in the database. So this is your sheet. So save it. So once you have done the seeding here, so all these references, now the next step is, again you have to go to the package manager console, and here you need to add execute this command. Okay, add migration init. So the initialization is done, and the next command is update database. So now you can see the update database command is complete, and it has run our seed method. Okay, so you can verify these things. So go to your SQL Server Object Explorer. So if you cannot find it, go to again view, and then you will find it here. So go here, let's refresh this, and under databases you can see library DB has been created. And then if we go to tables, it should show us the tables that we have created. So authors and books has been created. Let's see if there is any data here. And then you can see there is the book data here. Let's close this, go to again authors table, right click, view data, and you can see author data has also been added. So the database seeding is successful. So we have some data now in the database. The next step is to retrieve this data and show it to the users. So basically I'll create so I have already added a page, right? So like library.aspx. So I have already added that page. What I will do is that sorry, not library.aspx but showbooks.aspx. So I've already added this page. So I will now go to the code behind, and I will add a couple of methods here. So these methods will retrieve the it will call the context object, and then it will retrieve the data by querying the database tables. So one of the method is get books. Now we have to add some reference. So the reference will be our library, this one, demoform.model. So we have to add this in the using so that it can understand this. Now similarly we have to add one more method called as get authors. Okay, so we have two methods here. Now the next step is, so declare a context object. So new library demo form dot data layer dot library context. So that will initialize the context class. Let's copy this and let's create a books variable. Okay. Dot to list. Okay. Close the bracket, semicolon. Now return this books. Okay, so we are now returning a list of books. So whoever will call this that entity will get a list of all the books that we have in the database. Similarly, just copy paste this and replace with authors. And we have to close this. Right. And here we have the context, and then name it as authors. Okay, so this is what we'll return back. Now this is throwing an error because we also need to replace this author. So now this method will return a list of authors. This method will return a list of books. Okay, so I have just kept it simple, but this is how you do it. Basically, you call the you use the context object, and then query this context object and get the results back from the database table. Now let's go to our HTML view of this page. So go to Solution Explorer and double click this ASPX. So this is our UI code. So here we can add some code. So I will not go into much details of styling and all those things, like that's a separate topic in itself. So I'll keep it simple. My intention is to show you how you can show this data from the database into the UI page. So if you want to write a code behind, some code in your ASPX space, then use this kind of notations. And then I will use a for each loop here, okay, to retrieve the item and show it here. So for each So if you want to write something to the UI, then you can use the response object, response.write, and then item.title, close it, semicolon. Similarly, we can use a divider here, or perhaps some space, and then the next item will be displayed after that. So response.write item dot description, and then I will add a break here so that it will go to the next line and then display the display the next record. So let's add two line breaks basically. All right, so this will display a list of all the books. Similarly, we can also display a list of all the authors. We can write within this snippet here. So let's say for each item in get authors, okay, get authors, and then item dot name, yeah, and that's it. We just display the name here. So now we have so we can display the list of all the authors, and we can also display a list of all the books. So let's add some line breaks here as well, and then perhaps here we can say list of authors. List of authors, and Let me copy this. List of books. Okay, so we have a list of books and then list of authors. So let's run this. So when you are running this, ensure that this is set as a start page and then run this. Now you can see list of books and the name of the books here, and like this is basically the description. So I have given some space, but this is basically the description here. So perhaps I should have given ampersand NBSP here. So this is not considering this as space. So, or maybe we can give like this kind of thing. And then let's refresh and see. Okay. So this is the name of the book, and this is the description, and this is a list of authors, and these are the authors which are in our database. So it was able to retrieve all this. So that's how you do it. You create a database and then you retrieve everything from the database. So using code first approach. So now there, you can also do a database first approach. So there you'll be creating the database table first, and you can manually enter all the data in the database table, and then you can retrieve using the same way. You can use context class, and then you can connect to database table using connection string, and then you can do that as well. Okay, so that is another way of doing it. But code first is more flexible. You can just run it on any machine, or you can just if you lose the database tables due to some reason, you can recreate it easily. So that's why code first approach is very popular, and developers prefer the code first approach. Hope you have learned something new today. So please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I will again meet you in my next video. Thanks a lot for watching.